Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day for this webinar about Power to Give. My name is Perry Mixter, and I'll be your presenter today. I really enjoyed coming into Silver Spring in Maryland, Montgomery County a couple weeks ago to conduct a couple of training seminars. And we're having this webinar as a kind of a catch-up for those of you who couldn't attend those. So we hope that this will answer your questions about the new Power to Give platform for Montgomery County. Encourage you as I go through the presentation. While this is a one-way presentation, I can't hear you. Encourage you to use the question feature on the chat function of this, and we'll be glad to get to those questions as we go through this session. Hopefully, we'll go through this presentation in about 45 minutes. 45 minutes to an hour, and then get questions that you have. And as always, I'll be giving you my email address so that if you have follow-up questions after the fact, we can get to those as needed. So again, hopefully this will be very helpful for you. So let's just dive in right here and talk about Power to Give. Really, today's agenda is going to cover a little bit about Power to Give, talk about how it came to be and where we're going with it. We're going to talk more specifically about how to post great projects. We're excited by the results we've seen to date in the other communities, and we know that this will have the same impact in your community as well. We'll also talk about the tools that we've developed that will provide to you to market the projects through Power to Give and other social media outlets, and then also talk about launch plans specifically to Montgomery County. So as we go through, we'll be pausing periodically to answer your questions. The fact of the fundraising climate in this day and age is that the majority of those consumers of the performing and visual arts, 85%, at the most recent survey, 85% of our patrons, 85% of our consumers are not donors. They may buy a ticket, they may come to an exhibition, but they are not writing us a charitable check, a charitable contribution. So that's been a fact for many, many years. The fact that only 15% of our audiences are supporting us financially beyond the ticket purchase is a significant issue for us. We also know that 50% of the donors, if they had more information, would give more. So we are seeing this as an opportunity about the issue of transparency. And this is particularly true related to umbrella fundraising efforts such as Arts Councils and United Ways. If there was more specific information about how those funds were used, they would be more inclined to give. We've also, in concurrence with all this other activity, we've seen a dramatic increase in the amount of online fundraising that's taking place in our society. People are much more comfortable with making contributions digitally, and so we see this as an opportunity. And about 2.5 years ago, this was perceived as an opportunity in Charlotte. Scott Provancher of the Arts and Science Council there saw this as a really terrific opportunity to take advantage of the new technology that we're seeing that is being used in a variety of different ways. We've seen success on the platforms such as Kickstarter. I think we all know about that. Donors Choose is the platform that is used for the education, for the teaching, for the teachers of this country, being very successful. And also Kiva, which is gives you the opportunity to contribute and support third world projects. So we're seeing these online giving platforms. In fact, at last count, there were dozens and dozens of online giving platforms that are coming up. And donors are turning more and more to those opportunities. We're also seeing donors' preferences changing as time goes on. Instead of giving one large check and being satisfied with that, donors are making more frequent and smaller gifts. And the desire for transparency is something that is much, much more important today than in years past. So we're seeing these opportunities and these issues. And Power to Give really works very simply. It is a platform where donors can make contributions to specific projects. The Power to Give platform is hosted by a local, what we call a site host, which in most cases are arts councils. In some communities, these are cultural affairs offices of county or city government. But for the most part, they're arts councils. So they're hosted locally. And then arts councils Arts councils make those investments, post those projects, and then the donors make those contributions. I'm going to pause here for just a second and take a look at some of the questions that's coming up. Okay, good. No questions, just a couple of folks, Anthony Spearman and Joe Fredoni. Good to see you, and we'll keep on with the webinar at this point. So, talking about different online giving platforms, how is Power to Give different than others? Well, really, it was designed for the arts in mind. It was designed to be both a fundraising and a marketing tool, and has built-in tools that will train the users and also share best practices in marketing and promotion. And as you start to use Power to Give in the months and years ahead, we're going to give you plenty of opportunities to interact with the other communities that are on the Power to Give platform, so that you can see what's happening in those other communities and use those ideas in yours. I think the most important difference that Power to Give provides is that it does incorporate a matching and challenge grant platform that will provide tremendous incentives for donors to make contributions. We have seen a huge amount of success when we have matching funds available for projects. So your donors, when they come to your project and see that their dollar is going to be matched with corporate or foundation money or individual money, as a matter of fact, that's a very big incentive for them to make to support. I know personally that when I see that I can double my money with a matching opportunity, that's a tremendous incentive for me to give. This is a nonprofit platform, so every contribution or every donation that's made through it is tax deductible. It is important to note that the organization of record for these contributions will be the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County. They in turn will turn around and make a restricted gift to your project through Power to Give. And we'll go through that in detail as we go through the site. But basically, when donors make the contribution, they are making a gift to the Arts Council, who then will take those funds and funnel those to you specifically for that project. We also have the capability for gift card functionality on the Power to Give platform. So you can encourage your donors to buy gift cards for their peers as a way of either as a Christmas gift, a holiday gift, a birthday gift, and encourage them to make contributions to the organizations and projects of their choice. And where we are today, we are live in 14 communities, from as large as Atlanta, Houston, Charlotte, to as small as Madison, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Fayetteville, North Carolina. We have communities all over the country using Power to Give so far. Those 14 communities have raised in total just over $2.5 million. And that represents 1,225 projects and over 11,000 donations. So this is, since it was launched in 2011, it'll be coming up on 2 years this August. We have seen a tremendous response to Power to Give in the communities in which it's launched, and we're excited for the prospect. This is our coverage map so far. We are in 14 communities. We are going to be rolling out 4 more in the next 2 months. In addition to Montgomery County, we're launching in Detroit. We're launching in Central Florida, and we've got also launching in Cincinnati. So we're excited about those opportunities, and we're sure that this is going to continue to grow throughout the country, so that it will be a brand throughout the country, a national brand. So let's talk now a little bit about what to post. As a leader of your organization or as a volunteer, we want to give you the tools which will provide you some information on how to post or what to post. We really want you to think about those projects that you would want to give to as an individual. What is it in your organization that you can develop or create that's compelling, impactful, and project-based, something that has a finite time frame. So we encourage you to look at different things that you are doing. We encourage you very much, this is not in any way requires you to create a new project. In fact, many of our successful projects are simply activities that are already occurring in organizations, and they are being pulled out and defined as a project. And we'll show you some of those. You're going to be amazed at how much is with those 1,200 different projects, the research you can do on the past projects and borrowing those ideas for your own. If you have a new initiative, that's perfectly fine. Also, expansion opportunities. So really, there is not a whole lot of editorial comment or editorial activity on behalf of Power to Give or the Arts Council as to what it is you can post. It does need to be project-based, so we want you to think in terms of a specific time period when this project will take place, whether it's an exhibition or a performance or a capital purchase that you need to make in a particular time frame. But it just is not, we do not really encourage you to think about general operating support in general, but you can do things within your current budget that are very effective. We're going to show you the site a little bit more, but one of the kind of hidden parts of Power to Give, if you have looked at the projects in different communities, is the pull-down menu for completed projects in each community. So we encourage you to use that as kind of your starting point for looking at projects that have been posted by organizations that are similar to yours. If you're a visual arts center and you want to post a project, go into the Charlotte site and find the visual arts centers that have posted projects and what they've done. You'll be amazed at the creativity and cleverness that we have seen throughout the platform. And really, we do want Power to Give to be much, much more than just posting a dry proposal. We want this to be fun, creative, dynamic, and hopefully through this webinar, you're going to see some of those examples in play. So it's an exciting opportunity for you to think differently about how to market your organization to your donors. Talk a little bit about posting logistics, and I'm glad Joe is on the line because Joe has, with him, they're developing a web page on the Arts Council's site where you'll be able to pull down a lot of what we're talking about in terms of the documentation that we have. Every time a donor makes a contribution to your project, 12% will be withheld from that contribution. So for every $100, let's say a donor makes a $100 gift, you will receive 88% of that gift. 12% is held back to cover the credit card fees, to maintain the site, and to help the local marketing efforts in your area. So this is standard. We make this very clear and transparent to the donor so that it's not a surprise. And we encourage you to build this into the cost of your project so that if you need, let's say you need $1,000 for a project, you add 12% to that and mention that in the project budget. So your budget would be $1,200 or $1,300. The actual percentage to add to a project is something like 13.65% to make the math work for a 12% withholding. So we encourage you to include that and be transparent about that. We have not had any complaints from any party on that, and it works very well. People are used to service charges on internet activity. Every time your organization submits a project for review and approval to the Arts Council, you will be required to accept terms and conditions which are listed on the project listing. The Arts Council has, I believe, distributed those to everybody in the first cohort, so you should have those, and if you don't, Joe can get those to you. This is really an integrity-based system. There's not a lot of active policing. We basically encourage all parties to be completely forthright. Basically, the terms and conditions essentially say that you meet the criteria for posting, which the Arts Council has established, that you will carry out the project that you are proposing, and that if that changes, that you would be in touch with the donors specifically on what you would plan to do with those funds. The funding timeline is fairly straightforward. You basically get the money shortly after your project closes. Your project can either go for the full 90 days, the posting window, or if you're successful and raise the funds early, the project closes, the Arts Council is notified, and then you will get a check shortly thereafter with a reconciliation of those funds. you will also get a full listing of all the donors who have made a contribution to your project. As I mentioned, you'll have 90 days to get your project funded, and you receive the funding regardless if you achieve your 100% of funding. So if you have a $5,000 project and you only raise $3,000, you're going to get the $3,000. It'll be up to you to be in touch with the donors as to what you plan to do if you have to change the scope of that project. That is entirely up to you. And it's also a really terrific way to establish a connection with your donors so that they know that you're thinking about them and that you care about how they feel about using the funds that they have made on your behalf. All the donor information for each of the projects is available to you as time goes on. We'll show you on the project dashboard how you can pull reports at any time about the donors that have made contributions to your projects. You will, as donors make contributions, you will get an email the instant they make that contribution. So you will get a real-time notification of that contribution. And we encourage you, when that happens, to have a plan to respond to them. They're getting an automatic email from Power to Give, but it would be great for the director or whoever the contact person is to just send a short informal note saying, hey, really appreciate your support, and we're excited about this new platform, and we encourage you to spread the word by social media. And most people do that with email, Facebook, and Twitter. And you will be able to access at any time a full file with all the donor information, which includes name, address, phone number, email, the amount of their gift, the date of their gift, and whether or not they wish to be contacted for future activities. So you're going to be given all that information automatically at any time. So it's a really great system to develop those new contacts for the new donors. We're now going to switch over and show you two things. We want you to understand what the donor's experience is like for Power to Give, how easy it is for a donor to make a contribution, and then we'll switch and show you how the system works from your perspective as a poster of projects. So I'm going to switch to my browser now. We're going to show you the live version of the Charlotte site. Just 1 second. Hoping everybody can see my screen and look at the Charlotte site. And this is a live shot of the projects that are currently posted on Power to Give. The basic layout of every Power to Give web page is basically this screen, which has 5 projects listed. At the bottom of the screen, it shows you the total number of projects. In this case, in Charlotte, we have a total of 42 active projects on the site. The web page also has a series of tabs at the top, which you can explore at your leisure. I'm not going to go through each one, but it's all about Power to Give and how to stay connected, and basically helps the user navigate and understand how Power to Give works. There are also a series of social media buttons here at the top, which will tell people about the Charlotte site in general. We have a number of different levels for those social media navigation tools. But the primary section of the site are the project listings, which are, each of these bars represents one project. On the left-hand side, there is this project navigation tab, so that if donors only want to look at different specific areas, such as music, they can select the projects based upon their categories. They can also go down here and select, if they have a particular organization they're passionate about, they can select that organization and go right to their projects. You can also look at, some folks like to say, well, what's been most recent? We've had a couple of new projects posted today on the site. So these would show that we just posted the Angels in America project and a number of other ones that are available that have been posted recently. Also, some folks like to be the last, the donor that puts a project over the top. So if they sort it by funding remaining, the project that has the least amount of funding left to fund is the Save Student Fingers, has $490 left to go to meet their goal. So a donor could make that gift and put that one over the top. But the default view is percent completed. and that shows the percent on the thermometer. You can see on the right, that's the highest percentage of completion. So there is no editorial management of these projects. They are listed by the percent completed, with the one at the top being the most being the most funded at this point. Now, we are kind of proud, somewhat proud of this project on the Charlotte site, because this is a very creative project. And obviously, the picture kind of invites your further research. So we're going to click on the Give and Learn More button as a donor. We're going to go to the project detail page, and this is really where you can learn all about this project. There are two narrative areas, the project narrative here under About This Project, and the donor benefits listing. And we'll go into this in a little bit more detail when we show you the back end. But you'll see that this is a very creative site that also has a video. This one happens to be the Seinfeld Elaine dance, which really has nothing to do with the project, but it's just a lot of fun. So this is the one that they chose to put on this site, on this project, and I think it's very effective. They have raised almost all but $940 of this project. They have 43 days to go to raise that fund. And they also have, in Charlotte, we have Wells Fargo, which has generously provided $200,000 in matching funds for specific projects. So they are eligible for that. So this project, whenever somebody makes a gift, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you, we're going to say, I like this project, I want to give $10 to it. We're going to add that to our giving cart. And as the page refreshes, you'll see the giving cart listing, which shows my donation. It shows the sponsor match. So the effective donation is $20. Also, at the bottom of this page are additional recommendations, which the site automatically generates. These are similar projects, either of this organization or of other theater companies, other similar organizations. So these are, it's very much like Amazon, which they will select similar projects for you to consider. I'm not going to go that way, but you can certainly explore that, and you can add to your giving card and add contributions as necessary. But I'm going to go ahead and complete the donation. We're going to take you all the way up to the point of having entering the credit card information. But again, my donation, $10. And you see down here at the bottom where Power to Give uses 12% of each gift. So we're completely transparent about that. I go ahead and enter my information, and there's a confirmation screen, and then that's it. That's how easy it is to give to projects on Power to Give. Now, we navigated to this from the point of view of the Charlotte site, but for Charlotte and for all of our sites, the vast majority of navigations to your projects don't come through the top site, such as the general listing. They will come from dedicated URL that you have, and we'll show you this in just a moment. But basically, your donors won't have to navigate down 2 and 3 levels to find your projects. You're going to be sending them a URL that lists your projects, and they'll go straight to your project. So in that way, Power to Give is an extension of your online activities. Let me go ahead. I'm going to jump back to the presentation and see if there are any questions. I don't see that there have been any questions added, but encourage you, if you've had questions up until this point, go ahead and ask those questions on the service here, and I'll come back in a few minutes and talk about the questions you've got. Here's one that just came up from Magali. Let me see what she's got. If a project has 100 to go and I donate $10, does the remaining balance include the matching? Yes, it does. As people make contributions, if you have let's say you have a $1,000 project, somebody gives $100, there's a 1-to-1 match on your project. The project automatically reduces or goes down by 200. The application of the matching funds, whatever those are, and the Arts Council will be in touch with you about those specific matching funds. They happen in real time as well. So if, let's say, you have a $1,000 donor, a $1,000 corporate match, and that match is used up at a certain point. When that happens, all of the matching references will go away and disappear off of each of the applicable projects that they, up until that point, have matched. So that's how that works. Let's see, here's another question. Are funds given out after the project is completed? How does that work? Yes, when the project closes on the system, the Arts Council will let you know what the time frame is, but generally within a week to 10 days, you will receive a check from the Arts Council with the proceeds of that project less the 12%. So that's how it works. It's not something you have to wait a quarter or a year to receive. It happens fairly quickly. Again, we defer to the local arts organizations to advise you how that will fit into their normal check processing activities. But again, Joe or someone from the Arts Council will advise you on that. Let me jump back to the website. Now, we're going to jump now from the donor's point of view to your point of view. And to do this, we're going to run to the current Montgomery County, Maryland site. This is the actual site for Montgomery County. Clearly, we don't have any projects because it's not yet live. That will happen on or about your launch date, and we'll talk more about that later on. But basically, as a site user, we want to give you the tools to log in, and when the Arts Council announces that they're going to go ahead and approve you to post projects, you will get an email from Shelley or Joe with the URL that will lead you to this page. And the primary way that you access the back end of the site is this button down here, Create and Manage Projects. And that takes you to a simple login page. Actually, I need to jump back real fast and log out as this person so you can see what it looks like from the start. So when you go to this login page, after registering the first time, you just basically put in your email address and password like you would for any other online service. But the first time you do this, you do have to input some information. So we have a very simple register link. And basically, this is the information that you will be putting in both for yourself and your organization. Essentially, it's fairly straightforward. Email address, password, your first and last name, your address, your city, state, and phone number. The one thing that does trip up some folks, but hopefully the Arts Council can help you through this, is actually this should say state of Maryland. We'll need to change that one. But again, putting in your solicitation license information that you should have available to you from the state of Maryland, the expiration date and the license number would be put here. And again, if you have questions about that, the Arts Council is available to help you. But basically, this is the information from the state for your charitable solicitation license. The other first-time activity that you need to put in is your company information, your name, the contact name for the organization, your federal tax ID, which everybody should have, and name, address, phone number, city, state, zip. So basically, once you've completed that registration, you should be good to go, and that's the only time you really have to do that. Now I'm going to jump back and go ahead and register as someone who we've already got on the system, so we don't have to type in all that stuff. I'm going to log in as Kristen. And when you register for the first time, this is the project dashboard page that you will have. And this is your organization's dedicated page for it's basically your working desktop for your projects. One of the things I want to very much encourage you to note is this dedicated URL right here. This URL we have registered as the Washington School of Photography, and that organization's dedicated Power to Give URL is this URL that I've highlighted on the screen, so that if they embed this in their email signature lines or embed it in their homepage on their website, that URL will always point to will open the page where their projects are listed for Power to Give at any time. So that is your dedicated permanent URL that you can use for your promotional purposes, and that's why that's so important. Other things about this page I want you to note: on the left-hand side, we have one, and again, there will be more as the site develops, but any corporate or matching funds that are available are listed here on the left. And so instead of calling the Arts Council to ask them how much money is left in any particular matching fund, you can see on your project dashboard at any given point the real-time remaining amounts. This is very helpful when, let's say, they have a $20,000 match and they've used up all but say $18,000. You can go in and say, hey, we've got $2,000 left in that matching fund. Let's go out and grab it. You can have a quick campaign to promote your projects and encourage your donors to get that dollar for dollar match, or whatever that is, whatever the matching ratio is, and get that money for your organization. So it is a first come, first serve on the matching funds that are there. And the Arts Council may have different matching pools. For instance, we've discussed the idea of having an arts education matching pool, or a discipline-specific matching pool. And again, if you have ideas on that, we encourage you to be in touch with the Arts Council. We'll talk a little bit about matching funds later on in the presentation. So this is the other information. The other thing you need to note is this pull-down menu that's in the upper right-hand corner. This is where you can access all of your donor reports, so that as you go through, as you work with Power to Give and you need to run donor reports, you can pull up specific donor reports for each of your projects. I would show you this, but there would be nothing to show because obviously this has not been posted yet without any results. But all your projects will be here, and you can always run your donor reports at any given point. You can also change the information on your account. We encourage you, one slight logistic issue is that if you have a generic corporate email address that you can use for your account, we encourage you to use that as long as you can access it for email correspondence. Every time we change, if you have a change of staff on your organization, that usually entails a change of email address. And to do that, to change that on our system, we need to notify the developers at this point. That's not something you can change. So we encourage you to use permanent email addresses if you have those available to you. But again, this is all the information, and you can change everything else, everything but the email address at this point. So going back to the project dashboard, we're going to go back to the dashboard. We're going to go ahead and create a new project just to show you how it works. And that is done through this pull down right here. And as you develop the project, you will have this lovely floating green box on the right, which really contains, all they are links to PDF files, which give you some really great suggestions on how to post good projects, how to write a good narrative. Again, it's just your personal help box, so that's something very helpful. So this page is the complete all the information you need to have to post a project. So we're going to post a project title. I'm just going to make something up here, and let's say we need $3,000. You want to just put in the digits only, no dollar signs, no commas. The project start date, let's say we want to have this start in the fall, so we'll say September 1, and it's going to end on, let's say, September 30th. We're going to want this to start around and again, the launch date will be happening, but we're going to say we want this to start on the launch date of June 12th, so we select that. And you'll note that the system automatically populates the end date with the 90-day period, so you don't have to worry about calculating the 90 days. If you want the project to end sooner than 90 days, you would need to put in a different date here. So if you wanted to have, say, a 30-day campaign, totally up to you. You can do that if you like, but it automatically defaults to the 90 days. The characteristics, these are you'll remember on that home screen on the left, this is the categories here. In Montgomery County, they're going to be a little bit different, but right now, these are the characteristics for Montgomery County. So we're going to say visual arts, because this is photography, and perhaps humanities, and maybe it has something to do with education. You can select as many or as few of these as you need. Each project does require at least one image, so this is where you would apply that, basically selecting something off your desktop, so you need to have that available to you. I'm going to go ahead and just pick one, which really has nothing to do with photography, but what the heck. But again, note here that it needs to be 250 pixels by 250 pixels. If you choose a high resolution, multiple megabyte JPEG, you'll get an error message. So make sure that you've downsized the image for this purpose. And most image management software can do that for you. We also strongly encourage you to have a video for each of your projects. It's not required, but this is where you would post the URL to your YouTube video. Right now, we're only working with YouTube. I believe the Arts Council does have a YouTube channel, so if you don't have one, they said that they're happy to have you post your video on their channel. But again, you would go into YouTube and copy the URL from the top of the page and paste it into this field right here. So really, that's how you do that. You'll remember that in the project detail, there are those two narrative areas, and these are the places where you would enter your project narrative. Again, we encourage you to keep it short. 200 to 300 words is plenty. And again, there are lots of tips and tricks here on how to do this. But again, some simple editing tools allows you to do boldface, underline. We also encourage you, I've seen a lot of folks not use, if you do your project budget, use the table function and put your budget in a table if you can. It makes it a lot cleaner on the presentation. Again, donor benefits, we encourage you to think about how to post benefits that are tied to the specific project. We'll show you that in just a moment as well. The project notes area is where you will have an opportunity to communicate with the Arts Council staff. Again, this is a private channel communication. This would not be posted as part of the project, but you can say, hey, Joe, I have a question about this, or what do you think of this? I'm waiting on my video, or whatever. You can also post it there. You'll recall that I mentioned the terms and conditions, and I'm working to get this changed because this is really just too small. But anyway, this terms and conditions link right above the save button is the terms and conditions that you will be agreeing to for each of your projects. And I won't go through that in detail here, but as you go through, you can take a look at that. And I believe the Arts Council has that available for your review as well. But again, every time you do this, you would come down and click on the I accept button. For each of the projects, you'll do that. And at the bottom of this page, you have three options. If you click cancel, that basically doesn't save any of your work to date. If you just make a mistake and want to start over again, that would be your choice. If you've partially completed this but are not ready to submit it for review to the Arts Council, you would hit the save button, and that will save it to your desktop. And if you're completely satisfied with what you've got and you're ready to submit it for Joe and Shelley to review, you would click the submit button, and that will send an email message to them saying your project has been posted, or not posted, it has been submitted for review. They will then have, I believe we set on 5 days to review your project and get back to you with any changes or modifications that they would recommend or questions that they would have. So that's essentially the process, the back-end process for posting a project. You'll see here that we did this one last week or 2 weeks ago at the training sessions, and this is one that we set up with the again just a test one. It's not live, but basically this is all you do when you've got, again, we saved this, and you can come back to it at any point. Once you submit your project to the Arts Council for review, you won't be able to make any changes to that project. So we want to be sure that you have done everything you need to do for that project before you click the submit button. If you do have changes to make, the Arts Council staff can make those changes on the back end from their perspective, but you'd have to send them an email to let them know. So that's really all there is to it in terms of the active management of your projects. And I hope that this has given you a sense of how simple Again, we want to make this straightforward. This is not anything related to a grant application where you have pages and pages of documentation. We want this to be short, simple, and easy to manage. Let me run back to the questions and see what we've got here. We've got more questions. Let's see. So the project start and close date should be before the actual staging of the program. That's a really good question. I'm glad you brought that up because I missed mentioning it. If we go back to this to the site or to the project dashboard and click on this project, yes, we really want the project to start after the posting of the project. So you want to have used Power to Give to raise the money before you actually start the project. So since we have a June 12th launch date for Power to Give, if you allow 90 days to have the projects funded on Power to Give, you really need to be thinking about projects that will be taking place in the fall. It's not to say you can't have projects begin during the posting period, but I can guarantee you that Joe and Shelley, Joe I think is going to be the primary, he'll be contacting you and asking you about that. So we want this date, this project start date, this one here, to be later than the end date of your project posting on Power to Give. Very good question. And again, many organizations we've seen essentially they contemplate and decide all their Power to Give projects for the year, and they get them posted, and they have them all lined up and approved, and basically they won't show up on the site until this starting date. So you could set one to start on July 1st. You could have one start on August 1st, one starting on November 1st, one starting on January 1st, and that way you always have a Power to Give project in the pipeline. Really good strategy to have. Don't see any other questions at this point, but we'll continue to answer them as I see them pop up. But again, I hope I've demonstrated just how simple the posting process is. Let's talk a little bit about the content of that process. Again, the title and the photo are really, really key. You can see that those are the two things that the viewers are going to see initially is their first impression. So you need to keep it unique and fun, keep it short, and keep it clever. Again, this is not a grant writing. This is really promotional work, and we'll show you some other things. Want to keep it brief. Really, if you write more than 200 to 300 words, you're writing too much. We also encourage you very much to write it in the first person perspective, either as the manager of this project or as someone who is benefiting from the project. Really, really important how different and how dramatic an impact that can have. You are writing to individual donors, not to corporate and foundation boards. So don't just copy and paste things out of failed grant applications. This needs to be really, really basic directional writing so that people understand what you're saying. When you tell the key ingredients, think about it from the perspective of your decision making when you make a gift. What does this organization need? How will they utilize my money? And how will it make a difference? We want you to make sure that they understand the impact. And we're talking about gifts that are in the $50 to $100 range on average. You're not going to be receiving, unless you've got them lined up and have arranged for it, the vast majority of your contributions are going to be 2 digits, 2 and 3 digits at most. So you need to think about how can a $25 gift impact this project or this person, and break the project down so that they can see that. I want to show you just 2 samples, one good, one bad. This one is a project which we saw come across the desk a couple weeks ago. And it's not bad, but it's not compelling. How to keep live classical music in Charlotte. And again, if you read this narrative, it really does look kind of boring to me. It's not compelling. It's basically supporting this organization's ongoing activities. It doesn't really tell me initially how my $25 gift might make a difference to a specific person. The photo, while it is, if I squint and look at it, it does look like people are having fun. it is a large group picture, so I can't really see the face. I think something that would capture the picture of one of the chorus members having a life-changing experience might be a little bit more compelling. Again, this is not a bad project, but it's just not compelling. And so we want to show you that as one example. On the other hand, here's one from Charlotte recently. Our vacuum doesn't suck. This theater company, all they need is a new vacuum cleaner. And the narrative is short and clever. It says our vacuum cleaner sucks. Actually, it doesn't, and that's the problem. We need a vacuum cleaner that sucks. Specifically, we need a Hoover, H-O-O, and it's very specific. This Hoover sucks more than any other Hoover has ever sucked. $575 buys Cast, the suckiest vacuum on earth. So, this is, and they got this funded very quickly. Again, it's only $575. And look at the donor benefit. All donors to this project will be invited to a demonstration of the sucking power of the Hoover bagless upright. The donor of the greatest amount will be given the opportunity to take this bad boy on its maiden voyage across the lobby carpet. Fun, short, and compelling. That's what we like to see on Power to Give. From the donor's perspective, we've seen a really strong response. This donor had made 8 contributions. She absolutely loves knowing exactly where her money is going, and there are so many choices to support. The best part is hearing from the organizations directly, whether it's the thank you card from the program participants or an invitation to see and hear firsthand performances. Power to Give never gets stale because of new and very creative, diverse programming. So again, this gives you an idea of what the donor is feeling. They feel good about what they're doing on Power to Give. Some points to make about donations. We really, and again, Joe will be the watchguard on this one, but we don't want you to propose benefits or to offer benefits that would affect the tax deductibility of the gift. Things like T-shirts or gala tickets or season tickets or anything that would materially affect that tax deductibility. We want these contributions to be 100% tax deductible. So your benefits ought to be things like thank you cards, signed posters, invitations to existing activities, behind the scenes. People really aren't in it for the tchotchkes that they might get, although that is nice. I think we see the biggest dramatic impact of Power to Give when you can connect people, donors, to the people that are benefiting from your organization's work in the community. The opportunity to bring a donor face to face with a kid who's seeing and experiencing the art for the first time. So thank you notes from the students, acknowledging people at events, inviting them to behind the scenes experiences. Those are the kind of things that we encourage you to engage your donors. And tie the benefit levels when you're writing your projects. Tie the benefit proposals to specific things in your project. For example, for $50, you can cover the cost of art supplies for one class and receive a handwritten note from one of the children. So that's tying the benefit and the product outcome to that project. Many questions we get in all of our training sessions is, well, how do people know about Power to Give? How are they going to come to my projects? And this is a very important point. I want to be very clear you understand the philosophy and the approach for both your projects and the site. Your Arts Council, their task is to promote the awareness and the visibility of Power to Give in the community. They're going to be working to improve the brand awareness of Power to Give in the community through promotion and activities, and that's really going to be launched at the launch of your site on June 12th. Hopefully, there will be lots of media coverage. There will be activities in that regard, and through their ongoing promotion of the arts in your community, they're going to promote Power to Give as yet another vehicle that companies, that individuals can access to be aware of what's going on in the community. So they're promoting the site, and they will pursue matching funds and make those available to your projects as they become available. It is, however, incumbent upon each of the organizations participating in Power to Give to actively promote each of the projects as they come online. So that you do have to have a very simple, it doesn't have to be very complex, but you have to have a well thought out strategy for um, each of your projects. We like to say that if you have a post it and they will come philosophy, you're not going to be successful, because if you don't actively promote the project to your constituents and their friends, it's not going to get the funding that you're looking for. So we encourage you to be creative in reaching out to your supporters and utilize your electronic communications, whether that be email, Facebook, Twitter, whatever vehicles you currently have in place. Use those vehicles to start the awareness for your projects, and you can segment it if you can. Try to segment it for different messages. We have seen the greatest strength through asking your board members to simply use their electronic email lists to share this information with their friends and colleagues. We've seen the biggest amount of success in organizations when there are advocates for those projects, whether they be board members, volunteers, or staff members. And we encourage you to incorporate this into your current marketing plans. Again, if you're well versed in social media, it's very easy to incorporate Power to Give into your social media plans. If you're not well versed in social media, if you haven't utilized Facebook and Twitter for your organization and you're interested in doing it, Power to Give is a really great vehicle to start doing that. And the great thing about this is that we have developed a pretty comprehensive list of tips and tricks and in a toolkit that you can obtain from the Arts Council. They're going to have that to be able to download to you, so that you can see how other organizations have used the social media effectively in other markets. So we will give you the tools that you need to make this a success. It is up to you to carry it out. We do think that ambassadors are a key component of Power to Give, to have someone who can champion it. If you've got a board member who's a real IT person and likes to get into social media, let them be the champion. Promote the project impact first. We're not looking for you to promote Power to Give. We want you to promote your project. Power to Give is really just the tool by which you access each project. So we really want you to focus on the project. Again, varying approaches for different constituencies can be very effective. And you might think about joining with other organizations to promote a specific project. That's another idea that's been very successful. Here's a question from Bahardi. So the project start and close dates should be on or before the actual staging of the program. Yep, we've gotten that covered. Again, I encourage you to post questions on the questions as we go through, if you have questions about what I'm covering. Joe also will make available to you this very simple project promotion template, and this template kind of demonstrates the simple marketing plan for a particular project. This one happens to be one from Charlotte, where the symphony wanted to fund a fireworks display for their summer concert. So the first column is the name of the project. The second column talks about the target audiences, and they've identified 3 different target audiences: the board members, young affiliate group, and musicians. The third one is which person in each of those target audiences would be the ambassador, and those are identified. And then there are specific calls to action for each of those segments. For a board member, it might be a different message than a young affiliates message. So again, this is a very straightforward, it just takes a little bit of thought as to how you're going to approach each of your target markets for each of your projects. As I mentioned, we're going to be providing you an electronic toolkit, which includes all sorts of things, including draft email templates. You can use this to give templates to your board members and staff to help get the word out. All sorts of information there. One-pagers on writing project narratives, on stewarding and thanking donors, some sample social media copies for you, and all the logos and graphics you need. We hope that each of you will embed the Power to Give logo in your website somewhere, so that your donors can click on that and go right to your projects and make those gifts. Now, here's the astounding statistic, and we've been tracking this in Charlotte. Um, as each project concludes, we poll the organizations and ask them how many of the donors that gave to that project were new donors and how many were existing donors. And so far, well, actually, this figure is from the first 6 months. 46% of the donors that are reporting from each of these organizations had not given to that organization or to the Arts and Science Council, the site host organization. So 46% of the names that are coming across the transom on these gifts, on these projects, are absolutely new donors. Now, they may be ticket holders, they may be attendees, but they are folks who have not made a charitable contribution before, and we think this is a significant number. The most recent data, I've just updated this, and the number has declined just a little bit. It's more like 42% now. And that's to be expected as this platform gets longer in activity. But really, to think about a platform that 40 to 50% of the donors are new, that tells us that we are not cannibalizing existing donors and that we are reaching significant new pockets of support. So it's very exciting to contemplate. So you've gotten the donors, they've made their gifts. Now let's talk about a little bit about that process. So we're going to be another 5 or so minutes on this, and then I'll take more questions, and we'll be done. The donors receive an automatic email every time they make a gift, and they'll get that acknowledgement letter from the Arts Council. And you get a blind copy of all of that so that you can keep track of that. And you get a full copy of the donors in real time. So those are all there. But we also want you to think about stewarding those donors. We think that Power to Give gives you 3 new opportunities to contact your donors. You thank them when they give, obviously. You can thank them when your project is fully funded or completed on Power to Give. So you can say, hey, we just got full funding for our Power to Give project, and we're excited about taking this project live in the fall. And the third time you contact them is when the project actually takes place. So that gives you 3 different opportunities to share your information. And we encourage you to build these donors into your database and use them much like you would for any other new prospect. We think that Power to Give is giving you a whole new opportunity to develop donors at the base of your fundraising pyramid. We've seen, in fact, in Charlotte, someone who had never contributed to the North Carolina Dance Theater, I think it was about 18 months later, has made a 6-figure gift to the dance theater. So that's a fairly extreme example of, of a new prospect having dramatic impact in an organization's activities. So we encourage you again to cultivate those donors and invite them, get them involved, and invite them to activities, and secure and share their testimonials. Again, keys to the successful partnership: the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County is going to provide this vehicle for you. It is simply another tool in your arsenal to raise money and awareness for your organization. You provide the motivating, the exciting and compelling projects on the site, and we encourage you to do that. And we see this having dramatic effects in the community as time goes on. Really, in Charlotte, we're about to cross the $1 million fundraising mark and plan to have a celebration to let the community know that they have made so many projects possible with that $1 million of funding. The launch date is coming up fast. I don't think that's actually right that's an incorrect date. I take that back. I apologize. Your launch date is June 12th. June 12th, 2013. And we encourage you to think about how you're going to utilize this in the weeks leading up to it. In very short order, the Arts Council is going to send you a URL which will let you know that it's time to start posting projects on Power to Give. And there will be a deadline for the launch so that they can get those projects all lined up and ready to go for the June 12th launch. And after that, really, you can submit a Power to Give project at any time. So there's not any ongoing deadlines, just when you are ready to do that. So that's essentially Power to Give in an hour. Be glad to take additional questions here. would encourage you to post those on the question box. I'm not seeing any new ones at this point, but I'll stay on the line for a little bit longer and be glad to answer those as we come along. I hope this has given you the information you're looking for, the information you need to utilize Power to Give. Again, the Arts Council staff is available to you to help walk you through the first round of project submissions. I hope that you agree with me how simple this is. Again, the key is developing compelling projects, writing in concise and humorous and eye-catching manner. And I think once you go through the process once or twice, you will see this as a very simple process, and the Arts Council stands ready to help you with that entire process and answer any specific questions you have. You see my email there, perry.mixter@artsandscience.org. Feel free to drop me a line after this if you have specific questions. And again, specific policy questions, I will defer to Joe and Shelley at the Arts Council. But any questions about the platform or how it works, I'm happy to advise you on that. And I want to thank you for your time today. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to ask them. I'll stay online here for a little bit longer. But again, that'll complete our presentation for today. Appreciate your time and good luck with Power to Give.